This is the 2023 Haibike ALLMTN SE. Haibike claim it's the do-it-all, go-anywhere bike, built for off-road exploration, bike parks, techie downhills, or just boosting up super long climbs. This is Haibike's top spec model in their all-mountain category. Its front triangle is constructed of carbon fibre and the rear in aluminium. It's got 160mm of travel, front and rear, a 64.5 degree head angle, Mullet wheelset, the Bosch Smart system with a 750 Wh removable battery. I've previously ridden the Yamaha-based version of this bike, so it will be really interesting to see how this Bosch version compares, with slightly different geometry. I'm riding the bike in Verbier, in Switzerland, at the Verbier E-Bike Festival. It's a place packed full of perfect terrain to give the bike a thorough workout over a few days of riding. There's a perfect mix of forest tracks, mountain peaks and technical trails, including full-on world-class downhill runs. But before we hit the trails, let's take a closer look at the bike. We've got a Mullet e-bike, so 29er at the front and a 27.5 inch at the rear. Now it's running a Lyric, which is a 35mm fork, and just a single can, so no piggyback shock. So we're at about 2,500 meters here, so it'll be interesting to find out how this shock performs on the real long descents, because they can heat up a little bit. Aesthetically, the bike looks pretty nice. Typically Haibike, oversized tubing, big, chunky, aggressive looks. This bike is powered by the Bosch Generation 4 and the new Bosch Smart system with the massive 750 Wh battery that is completely removable, just slides out under the down tube. It's got the Bosch Kiox 300 display just at the top and the big chunky Bosch remote on the left-hand side. Now it's a 160 front and 160 rear, so really great actually for, it's called all mountain and we're in an all mountain resort. With the 29er at the front and the Mullet on the rear, be interesting to see how easy it is to tuck that rear wheel in on some of the tighter, twistier stuff as well. This is their top end model and it's equipped with SRAM AXS wireless shifting, but there are a few component choices that I think would have been a little bit better. The dropper seems quite small, it's a 150mm dropper. It's only a large bike, sometimes I ride large or extra large, but it'd be nice to see a bit of a bigger dropper post on there. And like I said, the suspension, we'll test the Lyric. Now the Lyric has always been a fantastic enduro fork, but it's interesting that Haibike haven't gone for one of the bigger stanchioned 38 forks like the Zeb or the Fox 38 on this particular bike. Stopping power, it's got the amazing Magura MT7s. They've got pretty colossal braking power. It's running a 200mm rotor at the front and the rear. You could probably go up to 220 if you wanted to as well. Now this is not a full review of the bike, it's a first ride. I've got it for 3 days in Verbier, so I'll give you my thoughts over riding it over the weekend, and we'll check it out and see how it performs. Now, usually I'm a fan of full 29er bikes, due to their faster straight line speed over the jump. But this is the first Mullet bike that I've really found to be a benefit to me personally. And I think the reason is the chainstay length isn't super short, at 455mm. Many Mullet bikes have quite short chainstays, and as a taller rider who prefers longer bikes, short chainstays don't really work for me. I feel them quite unbalanced. But this 455mm chainstay with a smaller rear wheel meant that the rear tucked in easier and I had more rear wheel butt clearance on the more technical trails. And what really surprised me is just how good the Rockshox Lyric works on this bike. It really is a superb fork still. Despite it not being quite as stiff and burly as the bigger 38 forks, it still offered quality damping performance on some of the tougher tracks. The rear suspension performance was supportive, but it didn't feel super supple and plush on the roughest tracks. And I think the rear shock can get a little outgunned on the longer red and black tracks, so something to consider changing if you like hard charging. I did really enjoy how quick and easy this bike felt to corner and move around on the trails. the 2.6-inch rear Maxxis tyre providing just the right amount of feedback to slide it into corners and dig it in when you need it. I really did try and push the limits of the bike over the 3 days, and I honestly left impressed by how hard it can be pushed, despite pretty thin casing tyres and that more budget rear shock. The bike is actually capable of some pretty gnarly terrain. When the riding's a bit more chilled, or for climbing those 1,000-metre ascents to get to the top of the mountains, it's pretty comfortable. Again, going back to that chainstay length, it offered a balanced climbing position, and I didn't feel like the front wanted to lift up on the steeper sections. The Bosch motor performance is just outstanding. I'm a massive fan of how it delivers instant power as soon as you turn the pedals, and a punchy, powerful response from the motor. There is a slight rattle that is noticeable on the descents, but that is inherent to the design of the Bosch motor. Overall, I'd say the ALLMTN CF SE is a strong performer across a wide variety of terrain. It's not a specialist in any single area, but that's not what it's designed to be. Haibike ALLMTN is a bike that's built to go anywhere. Off-road exploration, bike parks, or techie downhills. And I've got to agree, that's exactly what I did in my time with it. Haibike have created a very competent all-rounder, and it was a great few days spent on this bike.